The Team Never Quit podcast is sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. At Navy Federal, every day is Veterans Day. If you're active duty, a veteran, or a family member, you're able to join. Go check out NavyFederal.org for more information. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Team Never Quit podcast. As always, thank you guys for listening and watching, and please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see some more shows. So today, before we get to our very special guest, let's kick it off with our weekly Patreon question. And this week we have got, if you were going to meet any artist, music artist, dead or alive, who would be your first pick?
Elvis.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah, what do you got, bro?
One and only Post Malone. Country or pop, hip hop. One and only Post Malone.
I heard it. I've never met him. I heard he's a great guy.
Went to his show last year, 2 years ago, in LA. I thought he was closing out. That show was so good, I would have paid top dollar. I would have redoubled my cost to go see him the very next night if he was playing. It was phenomenal.
So he can throw down in person, right?
Say that again?
When he's in live in person is when you want to see him?
Exactly. He's his acoustics.
Yeah.
You think you're listening to his iTunes chart. It was a phenomenal show.
I've heard that. What about you, hon?
I think I would go with Dolly Parton just because she's such like a awesome figure. And not necessarily the music, but she just seems like brighter than light. I think I'd want to sit down and have a convo with her.
Everybody needs to meet that wonderful woman. Ray of sunshine tucked into a body.
Yeah.
What do you got, Hunter?
Always happy.
It's definitely going to be a curveball from anybody that you said, but I really appreciate Diplo and his more business mindset towards music and the whole industry itself. He's very versatile. He does multiple genres, a lot of electronic, but he's made TV shows. He's got his hands in a lot of different things, and I think that's awesome.
So is that singing or is that just like DJing?
More DJing.
Well, that's not an artist.
Yes. What are you talking about?
Here we go. All right. Yep, that was great. Bro, thanks again for coming on the show. That was a rabbit hole we could have gone down forever. I could see that one.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Shout out to Diplo.
All right, David, thanks again for coming on the show, man. The way we do this is I want to introduce you to our team, so we back it up a little bit about where you were born and where you came from. So tell us a little bit about that, man.
I'm from the hills of northwestern Pennsylvania. Grew up in a place that was rural and rather impoverished on one shape or form or another, and place that had 4 full seasons. Always something to do outside as in work, and that's kind of the origin story. I wanted to get out of that environment and enlisted in the Marine Corps at the end of my junior year. So I was on what they had at that time, the delayed entry program. And 3 weeks after I graduated high school, I was standing on the yellow footprints at Parris Island, South Carolina.
So growing up, play sports?
Dabbled in all the sports, a lot of different sports, soccer, track, cross country, wrestled for a little bit.
Can you play hockey?
Warner football, but I do not know how to play hockey.
Does anybody up there know that? Because I feel like all you boys up there come out skating. Hockey's a thing, right?
Down closer to Pittsburgh, it's going to be more available. But when I was there, at least there was no skating, no ice skating anyhow.
So what got you into you got family that's in the military?
No, not really. I mean, my grandfather served in World War II, but my origin story is not different from a lot of guys. I basically hated school. There was no individual educational program, anything like that, where grades were tailored towards me. I was bored in school, wanted to get away, wanted to be outdoors, wanted to do stuff. And the funniest part about me not liking school and wanting to get out was, I almost intentionally failed a high school algebra class. And I remember telling my teacher directly, I'm going to the Marine Corps. I'm not going to need to know math. I'm not going to need to know algebra. This makes no sense. So, what my surprise when I find out that every, as you know, call for fire, shooting platform, jumping platform is
Everything
some origin
math.
story of algebra that
Right.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So, that's the part that got me.
That's funny. What year did you go in?
1989. I graduated in '89. Went right in, and it was such a different time for, post Vietnam. I was in training when Operation Just Cause happened. I was in high school when the Grenada operation happened. So, but it was a much different time in the aspects towards, war fighting and what was going on, and my awareness to it as well. So, I definitely wanted a life of adventure. Bought all the propaganda that the recruiter sold me as, Marines being the best and the uniform and I went in not knowing anything about what I was getting myself in for. So,
That was back in the day, man. The commercials were good.
for sure.
You're talking about the early 90s, right? 89, late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah.
They did
yeah.
they had that kid with the square jaw, and, he's fighting the dragon with the sword, and right? The
Yeah,
Marines did a
100%.
great job back in those days of getting guys in. And let me ask you a question, because when I was in high school, you kind of don't know what you want to do. But that whatever it is, that life calls to you. Is that what happened to you?
It did. There's a very pivotal movie. I didn't even really pay attention.
That's what I was going to
to
ask.
it, but I
Yeah,
watched
what movie got you?
Well, so Full Metal Jacket, of course, and then Heartbreak Ridge. Both of those
Oh,
came
dude,
out
so good.
when I was in high school. So I love that. I watched all the Chuck Norris, all the, Braddock Coming Home, the Missing in Action, the Rambos, all that adventure and I think we call it male toxicity today, I think is what it is. I tuned into all that and just thought, man, that's got to be the greatest thing ever. And no idea, as you said, what I was getting myself into in the Marine Corps.
Every time that I saw a Marine gunny, I thought of Gunny Highway. I thought they were supposed to act like that.
Right.
I thought that's what all y'all had to go through was a man like that.
It's funny to look at it. I had some leaders that weren't that far away from it, but my background, I eventually made it to recon, and it was funny.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was.
Yeah, the funny part about it is how much, big Marine Corps really doesn't like, the recon, we're,
It's crazy,
they
right?
like us, they don't love us, they need us, but it's a very
weird.
unique relationship.
It's like a stepson, a redheaded stepson, right? That's kind of
yeah, for sure. That comes in. Sometimes the hair is a little bit too long, sometimes we're a little too relaxed. What they consider squared away, we consider a completely different type of squared away.
so. They hate us, man. When we love working with each other, but if we have to be together for a little while and they start seeing how our regs are a little bit relaxed around y'all, because Marines, they're freaking Marines, man. Oh, happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Happy
welcome.
Veterans Day.
Thank you. Yeah, you too, man. And I don't have a problem with this. I think this should be the way it is Marines are squared the frick away. I mean, you can shave with the crease in their pants. Everything's shining on them. I mean, that's just the way y'all are notorious for. Even in combat. This dude's been in combat, in the field, for 4 months. It comes out, uniform's not even dirty. That's how squared away he is.
Yeah, for sure.
That's funny. What year did you go into the recon?
I went to First Force Recon Company on Camp Pendleton passed my NDOC in January of '96, and I checked into the company. I checked into the company a month later. Fun story, only because we're talking about the Marine Corps. So I passed my screening. I'm due for orders, and I get orders that are going to take place in about 45 days. So I'm kind of on easy street at my previous command, which was I was an instructor teaching non-infantry Marines infantry tactics. And I get a call from the operation. I get a call from my company first sergeant, company Sergeant Major Deaver, calls me and says, "Hey, I need you to come down here and check in on Friday. You're going to school next week." And I'm like, well, Sergeant Major, I'm a sergeant, Marine Corps sergeant. So I'm like, well, Sergeant Major, I I don't even check in for another 40 days. He says, okay, do me a favor. I want you to call this number, call the S3. I want you to speak to Master Sergeant Minder. And I said, okay. So get Top Minder on the phone, and I'm convinced that what he's going to do, I'm in my mindset of I'm going to kind of put him in his place. So he's, hey, I need you to come down here. I need you to take a screening tomorrow morning. I need you to get out to school and do this and that, and give him the same spiel. I'm like, hey, Master Sergeant, I appreciate that, but I'm not even supposed to check in for another 30 days or 40 days, whatever it is. And he says, okay, yeah, roger that, Sergeant. Here, check it out. You got two scenarios. You can come down here, take this screening, and get off to school, get graduated from BRC, and be a young, productive working sergeant in my command, or you can miss this school seat and be my gopher bitch in the S3 for the next 6 months. What do you want to be? I say, you know what, Master Sergeant, I'm definitely going to make that screening tomorrow morning, and I can't wait to wait. He's like, good to go. See you tomorrow morning, 06. And that was my immediate introduction of, man, this road is going to be a little bit different. So,
dude, in the way that only a Marine can say that. It's like they've been sitting on that all week, right? They knew you were going to say that. That's how good these guys get, man. I guess that job just produces that. Everything that they hear over and over again, all the excuses and all the lines. I mean, these guys, man, they come up with some ways of just saying, like, telling you what to do by asking you to do something. It's
right.
It's unique, man. It's what I miss. Well, that's good, man. All right, you got in there, then what?
I was at First Force Recon Company from 96 to 2004, and I left First Force in 2000. And in that time, I deployed a couple times. We did. I'm guessing a lot of people know, but Marine Recon, we would deploy on ships, on amphibious ships, float out to the Middle East, be a force in readiness, do that for 2 months, and then 2 or 3 months, and then start to transition back. Just as you always saw in the news. But I was at the company for that amount of time, 1996 to 2004. I left in 2004 and went to 1st Recon Battalion, where I've been promoted to gunny, and now as a platoon sergeant. So now I went from being a team member and a team leader to now I'm in charge of training young Recon Marines. And I was at 1st Recon Battalion, also on Camp Pendleton, from 2004 until I retired in 2009. When I, just a fun side note about it that I like to tell people about, when I got promoted to that position, of course I wanted promotion, but then when I went to Recon Battalion, I felt like at the time that I took a step back, that I'd, gone from the proverbial varsity squad to the JV squad, if you will. Didn't like it, went dragging my feet and kind of head down. And then I got over there and absolutely fell in love with it, because I had the opportunity to train, encourage, pick, select, square peg in a square hole type of, mentality of young Recon Marines, guys that are 21, 22 years old. And, I'm an old man at this point, because I don't know if you guys know this, but 35 in the Marine Corps, that's old. And it's, it's only old in the Marine Corps, in the service. So but having that time, having that experience definitely regreened me. I fell in love with it and just embraced every challenge of identifying the individual that you had to yell at with your teeth gritted, and then the ones that you had to kind of rub on the back and, oh, come on, it's going to be okay. You can do it, Timmy, kind of, and then figuring out which, the different leadership styles and techniques that were going to get the best out of the men. So that was the greatest part about that job, for sure.
That's awesome. At what point, because you got hurt on a deployment, didn't you?
Yeah, I was injured June 14, 2007. So that was my third deployment to Iraq, third combat deployment in Iraq. My second combat deployment as a platoon sergeant, and we came off ships, and we were part of the surge in summer of 07. And
I was there with you
and activated a pressure plate IED. And
where was that
IED
at?
Went off directly underneath me, and from that blast, I became a double leg amputee.
Where in Iraq?
It was Al Anbar province. I was north of Fallujah and west of Baghdad. I was in Chicago and Lincoln was the major intersections out there, and a nasty little town, ironically called Karma, and was yeah.
I was out there with you.
During the surge, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there for sure at that time.
Yeah, man. I remember when you guys came in off the boats. Fort Fox was there. We worked with them doing block clearing station to station during down in Ramadi proper during the white apartments, tearing those things down. And that was hard. Ramadi was Anbar Province 0607 was gnarly, man.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of the Wild Wild West out there, to say the least.
How long were y'all out on the boats before y'all came in?
Just about 30 days. We got in pretty quick.
Oh, okay.
It could have been a little bit. It takes about 30 days to sail from, San Diego to be on station out there. We had some training that was locked down. We left out on that deployment. We weren't scheduled to go into Iraq. I was looking forward to a quote unquote break, getting out there, doing some training. We flew ahead to Hawaii, and then we were supposed to get on the ships and go to Thailand. Go to Singapore, then go to Thailand, and then, direct, kind of be not the pleasure cruise that it sounded like, but a little. We weren't supposed to go into Iraq, is what it came down to, and we left Hawaii and we're en route to Singapore. And when we found out that Thailand was canceled and we were going to go to theater after Singapore, so we were excited about that, as every young warfighter is when they get that call that you're going to do the thing you're trained to do. And we wound up going in. We got in to Kuwait, guess the middle of May, towards the end of May. I remember being in Kuwait for Memorial Weekend, that we were there talking about it, and then we began our in flight into Iraq from planes in Kuwait into Takata Airfield.
What's it like on the boat for you guys?
It's board for us. The Marines, most of the time, we're the only guys on the ship that don't have a job that makes the boat float. So a lot of rack time, a lot of boredom, a lot of doing the training that you can, which is the gym, a lot of shooting for the recon guys. We get to shoot out the fantail of the boat so it's a lot of work. It's about 5 pounds of crap jammed into a 10-pound bag most of the time. You have a lot of time to do things, but you're just prepping and preparing for offload and going into what's next.
I was going to say, man, if you want to get into some great shape, get stuck on a boat, because you don't have a job out there. They have to. And when he said sleep, you're either sleeping, reading, chewing Copenhagen, playing a video game, or you're on that fantail freaking blowing rounds out into the water. Period. I mean, there's not much else going on.
Not a lot going on, and it's so different now with we got real lucky because we could have the berthing areas where you could section them off, so it would just be our guys in their own area and gen pop, and it was enjoyable. I thought it was good.
And you're on a big aircraft carrier.
We're on the largest helicopter platform that there are, and I'm sorry, I've been retired since 2009, and the one ship that I was on burnt to the ground, so
oh, no.
I don't even know what's out there for us right now in the way, but we had like the Tarawa and the
I know that boat,
the Peleliu, so they're big boats and they're designed for helicopters to land on, and then the helicopters fold up, they put them in inside on the ship. So we're on the best since the last few years. We've been put on what we call the mothership, just because it's a little bit easier for communication and planning and things like that. So it's good.
That's awesome.
All right, so you were in Anbar Province when you got hit. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we came in on operations and were launched at night, and we're going through an area to kinetically engage with the enemy that we knew was out there, try to root out the last of them in their strongholds. We were we operated we would be in theater for a period of time, so we'd be not on the FOB, the forward operating base, but we would be out nestled up next to the civilian population, because that seemed to deter the local the local aggressors coming at us, because they didn't want to hurt the the civilians in the area. So we'd be nestled up against them. And we left from our firm base that night and took off. And I was a 6-vehicle in a 6-vehicle convoy, doing all our checks, getting, left turn on mobile, right turn on mobile, everybody repeating the calls, and everybody's on nods. And next thing you know was my oh shit moment when the IED went off right underneath me. And ironically, I never lost consciousness. I think, based on what I know about explosives, I think I was too close for the concussion.
Yeah.
So it directly underneath me, it exploded. Everybody else in my vehicle was knocked out. But I was in a front right vehicle commander spot in a 5-vehicle up armor Humvee, and the floor is the weakest part of that vehicle.
That's the sweet sound of another sale rolling in, and trust me, it never gets old. It's like a standing ovation for your business, and the secret behind it, it's Shopify. Listen, running a business is hard enough. Late nights, packing orders, convincing your mom to leave 5-star reviews. Shopify makes the selling part easy. They've got the #1 checkout rate on the planet, and their Shop Pay feature, well, it boosts conversions by up to 50%. That's way less, we got another abandoned cart, and more cha-ching moments. Whether you're selling handcrafted candles, custom t-shirts, or gourmet hot dogs, it doesn't matter what it is, Shopify helps you sell anywhere and everywhere. Online, in stores, and even through social media. Businesses that sell more, they sell with Shopify. So why not upgrade your business today and give your customers the smoothest checkout experience on the block? Sign into your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/TNQ. All lowercase, that's shopify.com/TNQ. Get started today and get that cha-ching coming.
It was a very hot night. It's summer. You're sweating. You can't get enough AC going on in the vehicle. And as this blast happened, I was dazed, saw sparks, stars, had the oh shit moment like we just hit an IED. And I did a self-assessment, reached down, had pain in my right leg, reached down with my right leg or with my right hand and did a sweep and felt my leg prematurely end. I told my corpsman, who everybody else in the vehicle was waking up now. I told my corpsman, who was my battle buddy, he's hitting everybody in the helmet. Everybody good? Everybody good? We just hit ID. Is everybody good? And I said, no, Brian, I need you. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, I need you. And I'm getting myself out of the vehicle. But the vehicle is like the internal part has crumpled up. So it's thrown me up against the bulletproof glass. My hand hurts. I got a boxer's fracture in my hand. And I'm kind of pinned and wedged. My helmet's all cockeyed. My glasses are all messed up. So kind of stripping that stuff off and open the door. The up armor Humvee door is about 350 pounds and it swings on hinges that make it very lightweight, but it was compromised. So open the door and kind of put my shoulder into it and fall out of the vehicle without any grace at all. And I hit the ground and, we carry everything on the front. And we were very worried about fires at that time. The enemy was using napalm and field-made napalm and stuff. So I was on my stomach and trying to crawl, and I couldn't. And I rolled over on my back to try to use my left leg to push. And when I tried to do that, that's when I realized my left leg was gone. And that's also simultaneously when my corpsman got to me.
Oh my God.
So in this time, like, I have to be very clear. I'm a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. And at this point in time, I'm 35 years old. I'm married. I have kids. I have goals. And I was immediately aware of how challenging my life was going to be. And I made the decision right then and there to end my life. being aware of my injuries, and as a platoon sergeant, I was armed with both a rifle and a pistol, and that pistol was on my hip, and I had the conscious thought to, end my life right there, that I could do it before they could finish working on me. And about the time I had that thought, I also literally pushed it out a nanosecond later and said, all right, I'm on the ground looking up at a very crystal clear sky. And I literally said in my head, if this is the path you have for me, I'm going to walk this path to the best of my ability. And then lo and behold, my corpsman and all my guys start working on me, which was an incredibly painful experience. And I took all my equipment off, my weapons, everything. And I had the pleasure of being pinned to the ground by 4 barrel-chested freedom fighters that pinned me to the ground so that Doc could work on me. And I still talk to those guys today, but I didn't like them very much when they had me pinned down. My Doc, he got me stabilized, and they couldn't get the radio up. The long haul radio was in my vehicle, and it was destroyed. So I had a very clear moment of calming, reflection of everybody did their best. I'm just going to die here on the battlefield. And it was very surreal. And at about a minute after that, other team members from the other vehicles started shouting, hey, we got the bird up, we got the comms up, bird's coming in, it's 30 seconds out. And I got thrown onto a stretcher and taken over to the aircraft. The helo came in, and I was life flighted to Tacadam and stabilized that night. And rest that started my history of where I am right now, to say the least.
So where then? Germany?
Yeah, Tacadam, to planes, trains, and automobiles. Tacadam, Longshore, Germany.
Yeah.
Days in there because it was on some really good drugs, in and out of surgery. So it's hard to lose track of the time. Then you have time-space continuum of the international date line and when was I hit and all that kind of stuff. But I eventually wound up in June 19th, so 5 days total later, at Bethesda, Maryland. And that's where I got stabilized and started the process that I'm on now.
Were you the only one that was severely hurt in the blast?
Yeah, I was the only one that has physical injuries. All the other 4 were knocked out, all rate and deserve the Purple Heart, but I'm the only one with visible injuries.
Was there an EOD guy ahead of y'all or no?
No, there wasn't, and we didn't have EOD attached to us at that time, but it wouldn't have mattered because what we hit was a dumb luck munition, because the enemy used to just sprinkle these things all about the area. We had come in the night before and had this entire area under observation, and we were leaving out the next night the same way, but which anybody listening to this is going to be like, oh, you never go in and out the same way. It wasn't that type of situation. If it was there, we could have hit it the night before coming in, but we came in, set up our perimeter. So it was literally in our perimeter around us, and we just didn't know it.
Oh, that happened to us.
It's terrible.
Same thing. I mean, we're there watching the same position for days. And then on the way out, ran right over the top of it.
Yeah.
It's weird how this happened. Yeah.
They get crafty how they hide it and what it's made of. And
matter of fact, there were vehicles driving over it the whole time we were there.
I think one of the sneakiest things that they did was it hit when I was there in 2005. They hit a EOD team really hard. They were putting the connectors in garden hose.
Yeah.
And you could roll over it many times. There's no rhyme or reason. Eventually a vehicle is going to hit it and make that hose roll where it's going to complete the connection that they've set up on the inside. So it's not command detonated, and it just looked like a pile of trash. And after you see, 2 vehicles in front of you hit it, and then the third vehicle goes over and sets it off. So yeah, they get crafty, to say the least.
I'll tell you what, man, you gotta give a lot of respect to those EOD boys and Pathfinder going out and clearing the route. route finders and everything. We'd sit there and watch those guys come out, 5 vehicles deep. 3 of them would come back blown up.
When I
All
saw
the time.
The guys that were coming in from Kuwait during the MSR runs at 5 miles an hour and driving for 4 hours or
Yeah.
whatever it was, I saw that and I thought, man, I want no parts of that job.
God, remember that? They had those big rollers and those fingers that would stick out the side of that thing, and just all day to over the top of that. I mean, unbelievable. That's a job there. I mean, you'd think the rest of us are crazy. Friggin' EOD, man. They got some balls that clank, man. Do that job. Because that's what they started doing to us. Especially in Ramadi when we were there. They loved that. They loved blowing us up.
Yeah. I try to explain to somebody that it's a great big game of whack-a-mole, that the more we identify what they're doing, the more they identify how to beat what we're now doing.
Yeah.
It's
How about that? God, they're good at that. Man, they would come up with some stuff. They could hide some stuff. I mean, I guess it's the same thing if we were here, right? Our people could come up with some crafty ways of doing things, man. But when you're over there, because they don't have the amenities that we have. Imagine over here what our people would come up with, because we have all kinds of gadgets and everything here.
right. Yeah. It'd
be something with it.
Down that path too far, but yeah, we could probably be a formidable, hold up, protect the house type of organization.
They don't need our military here. Our people, our people can do that, man. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
They can handle themselves.
I mean, if Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone could...
That's what I'm talking about. Like that kind of thing. Even the 9-year-olds will get after him with some micro machines and a freaking pellet gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how long were you in Maryland?
I arrived June 19th and I transitioned out of there. I did all my surgeries, all my debridement, all that kind of stuff. And I transitioned out of there July 30th. I came to California. My wife had she had a job. My son, my kids, everybody was here. My command was on the West Coast. So I as soon as I could and was able to, made a decision to move back out here and went to Naval Hospital Balboa. Had a brand new amputee clinic standing up called C5. And they had the best and the brightest young prosthetic doctors, engineers, PT, stuff like that working. Very similar to the Center for the Intrepid in Texas.
Yeah.
So they set up these labs, and this lab just happened to be close to me. So that's why I came back to California.
How'd your transition go? Good?
It was really good. I landed, quick story. I landed, when I was hit, I was a gunny. I was a E7, E8 selectee. About 99% of my peers in either one of those positions aren't even on patrol. They're on the fob somewhere. So when I got hit, I was an outlier, and then I'm a Recon Marine and had a good reputation for the job my platoon was doing, and that was important. When I first got hit, my initial assessment was, hey, you're going to walk in about 10 months to a year. And I had just got done doing all the machismo things that I could do. And I set the goal right away that no, I'm going to walk to my promotion, which should be in about 6 months. So I was already cutting that time in half. And then I landed in California and was met by about 30 friends that came out to San Diego airport to see me. I didn't have prosthetics. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm down to my original birth weight. I think I weighed it was just crazy how I look back at those pictures and, that time in the hospital, not eating, not, anesthesia, just, I was railed up. But they came and I had friends that were getting married at the end of August. And they were like, hey, we really want you to be in our wedding. My wife was already in their wedding. And they said, we want you in our ceremony. We argued about it a little bit that night. And we came away. They were insistent that they were going to put me in their ceremony. And my wife was going to push me down the aisle in my wheelchair. And I just had images of, Tom Cruise, born on the 4th of July, and I wanted nothing to do with that. I'm like, I'm not going to be a spectacle. This is not going to happen. And so that's July 30th. And then I went in, then following Monday, met my new prosthetic engineer, my, new PT, all these people. And when you're in a wheelchair, even as a gunny, it's like the kids' table at Thanksgiving. They're, nobody's talking to you. They're talking about you. And so they're in a circle around me. this is what he has, this is what he's going to get. This physical therapy, they have that whole doctor talk, and they get done and they kind of all high five and start to walk away. And I'm like, hey, real quick, I got a question. And they're like, oh yeah, Gunny, what's going on? I said, hey, I need to be in a wedding and I want to walk down that aisle. Can you guys, is that possible? And they're like, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. When's the wedding? I said, it's about 2.5 weeks.
Oh my God.
And they're like, well, you know what? You do the work. We'll make the legs. Let's see if we get there. And I had to do a lot of physical therapy to figure out new ways to move my body, all that, pain train that I went through. But, happy to say, proud to say that I took my first steps, about 10 days later or so, 8 days later, something like that. And I was walking on both prosthetics 2 months of the date of injury. So I was injured June 14th. I started walking August 14th, been, pretty much walking ever since. And I was able to walk down the aisle. And if there's any smile about this, it's that I stole just the slightest amount of joy from the bride.
Right, yeah.
Who, I beat her down the aisle. Nobody knew I could walk. So when I come down, everybody knew of me and knew me. And then so they see me walking, place went crazy, and, kind of stole a little bit of the bride's thunder that day.
Oh, I'm sure she was okay with that.
So when you're putting those on for the first time, is it the pain in the endings that you have to rub down? What gets you? Is it just learning how to walk, or a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both, a little bit of everything. Yeah. It's confidence. They were impressed when I first stood up, and they said, "Oh wow, you trusted the equipment right away." And I honestly think that goes back to my recon training, because be it parachutes or dive equipment, or you just learn to trust your equipment. Yeah, so that's kind of the way I treated it. Yeah. The first days of physical therapy was working on how to walk in parallel bars with one leg on, just learning how to swing my hip and how to actuate it, all this. So, definitely learning how to walk again. And there's a great relationship you have to have with your prosthetic doctor, because the fit has to be proper. It has to be tight, but not too tight. Then there's alignment, left and right, forward and back of the prosthetic on the end of your knee. And so there's a lot that goes into it. And then lifestyle and what you're going to do next. All these things play a factor. That's for my right leg. For my left leg, it's more about making a seal. Everything is custom made. They take a cast of your leg, and then they pull from that. They pull a socket. They make sure it fits. They make adjustments where they can. And they do this with plastic. You can't really push them too hard. And then once you get to a solidified state of, hey, this is looking good, then they make that into carbon fiber, and then you go about it and find your own limits, find what your new limits are.
Well, y'all are testing the limits of the prosthetics yourselves. I mean, that's kind of what we do, right?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And lifestyle is going to play a lot into it. And then there's degrees of amputation, specifically the legs. But, we call guys, me, a double leg amputee. I call guys that are a single leg below the knee. We refer to that as a paper cut, because
we've heard
it's literally the best amputation to have. Like you've lost an ankle and a foot. And I know people that have had a fused ankle and they electively amputate to be more comfortable in life. My setup is pretty good. I'm above the knee and below the knee, so I can do a lot. But all you have to do as anybody that's injured is spend just a little bit of time around somebody that's injuries exceed yours, be it double leg above the knee, a triple amputee, things like that, man. where you just like, okay, glad I don't have that. This is, I can, perspective is everything.
God, dude.
So
Dana Bowman, Travis Walton, or Travis Mills, excuse me.
Yeah.
There's a couple of our boys that are like that have, and both of them guys have the best attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that the dark humor and the crass locker room mentality that we have makes you very resilient.
Sure.
I don't know about you guys, but I do know that anytime there was a thing bothering you and you were in the military, there was no pats on the back and hope you're going to be okay. If they found out about it, they would just pile on.
Heaven help you if they found out, man.
Yeah. So it's getting through those injuries, and then you're still in a leadership position, right? So I have the responsibility to show the other individuals that I'm around in that PT room what your attitude and effort needs to look like.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, he's, mi hermano. He's an Army guy. He was injured at 18 months in the Army. I was injured at 18 years in the Marine Corps. I was the only guy injured in my vehicle. He's the only guy that survived in his vehicle. And from those two things, but now here we are side by side with our alive days being within 2 weeks of each other, 2 or 3 weeks, something like that, of being on the PT table with incredibly similar injuries, both above the knee, below the knee, pushing each other and working hard to make sure, we can get better and showing guys around us how you get it done.
It's amazing. When you had your 06 deployment, 06, 07 in Iraq, there were guys that lost limbs.
Oh, man, it was bad. That's when they really upped their game with the explosives, the IEDs, the laser triggers, man. Everything kind of got ramped up. And we went from driving around with those Humvees that didn't even have roofs on them or doors. We weren't even wearing armor in 04, 03, 04, I remember. And then 06, 07, we were level 3 and level 4 going out there.
Yeah, it sounds bad to say, but I would, if I'd been shot or it had been mano a mano, I'm going against an individual, or my team is going against team, I would have felt better about my injuries because okay, you won, you're better than me that day, I gave you my best, your best beat me. But this random munition, that is a damn, man. Of all the things I've been through, that's the one that got me. So
yeah.
You ever wake up feeling like you just didn't get any sleep? Well, that was me for such a long time, always tossing and turning, just dreading waking up for the mornings. But as soon as I switched over to the ghost beds, everything changed after that. Now I'm finally waking up feeling refreshed and just ready to take on the day. If you're a hot sleeper like I am, the Ghost Bed Luxe is exactly what I use, and it's been a game changer with its cooling technology that keeps you cool and comfortable all night long. No waking up hot and sweaty, you're just nice and cool, ready to go. If you want also the perfect mix of support and softness, the Ghost Bed Flex has its new memory foam and coils that are perfect for that balanced feel. Ever since I've made the switch, I've been sleeping better, I'm waking up energized, and it's been just a complete upgrade from start to finish. Everything about it is so amazing. And here is the best part. Team Never Quit listeners, you get 50% off site-wide. Just go to ghostbed.com/TNQ. Don't forget to use the code TNQ at checkout. That is ghostbed.com/TNQ for 50% off site-wide. You'll be thanking yourself every morning.
Because those are designed to kill anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, women, it's every across the board. So when you get hit by those, I completely agree with that.
That's crazy.
So what, did they discharge you out of the military after that, or did you get to hang in and because of your rank?
Because of my rank and I was so close to my retirement, they I was lucky. The Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Conway at that time, he came, pinned my Purple Heart on me, and then we had a conversation. And I told him, I'm selected to Master Sergeant. Can I still get promoted? He said, congratulations, absolutely, you can. He said, I have.
Did he hit you with it right there?
He told me right there.
He gave it to you right? Oh, that's cool, man. Good job.
And I said, sir, I have 18 years in the Marine Corps. I want to stay in and retire. And he said, you can stay in. He goes, and he said a number. He's like, we have 125 or 250 or something on the rolls right now. And I won't forget this conversation because he looked at me and he said, you can stay in as long as you want to. And then he looked at me and he winked and he said, but I have a feeling you're going to figure it out a little bit faster than 30 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have the perspective of what he meant then, but I was excited because in my mind, man, I'm going to stay, because I was always going to stay for 24 and then get out and be a cop. You know, that was my goal. So what I wound up doing was, you know, transition and get my legs on, staying in, going through the med board process and getting my time delayed. And, you know, this is what you can have. Was able to stay at my command, was an operations chief. And it took me about a year of sliding paperwork from one side of my desk to the other side of my desk, going to staff meetings, doing things where I was like, there's no way I can do this. I'm not around the guys I love. I'm not around doing any remote part of the job that I used to be able to do. And I just feel like a drain on everything. And it was more mentally challenging than physically challenging, to say the least. It was just like, what am I even doing? And that led me to the decision to retire. I was able to retire though, which is important because I did a full 20 years, 6 months and 3 days of active duty time. And I'm proud of it and glad that I did get to stay in, but I am technically I'm medically retired now. Yes.
That's amazing that you stuck with it and did 20 years.
Technically, they did medically retire. Good for you, because, you know, sometimes they're kind of funny about that. You got to lose more than 2 legs to get to retirement. You got to throw an arm in there.
I was so close, they could drag it out a little bit. I think that's why.
Yeah. So, how did you get involved with PXG?
Oh, that's great. So going back to what I talked about earlier, you know, as a Recon Marine, I've been wet, cold, sandy, hot, miserable. And when you're in a wheelchair, people come to you and, you know, you're in the hospital and they're looking for your rec therapy. And if you want to skydive, if you want to, you know, kayak around Antarctica, if you want to go surfing, and there's organizations and groups that will get you out there doing things. But I had enough of my adventure sports. I had enough of being miserable. And the guy came to me with a clipboard and he says, "What's something you've done before? You want to do again? What's something you've never done? You want to do more of? You know, what do you want to do?" And I was, you know, I think I'd like to golf more. And he looked at me and he said, "You like to golf more? Oh, okay." And that, you know, Packet went and followed me around from Bethesda to Balboa, and it was great because it opened a lot of doors, started a lot of introductions, and I started golfing in 2008, or I'm sorry, I started at the end of 2007. I started getting lessons and being taught how to golf. Then I worked with an organization in San Diego called Operation Game On, and they let us be around golf and things like that were great. And then in 2018, I got a phone call, and it's one of the greatest phone calls I've ever received. Kevin Hudson from PXG called me, and he said, "Hey, Marine, what's going on? My name's Kevin Hudson. I work at PXG. I'm a retired Marine as well. Listen, we got a program going on, PXG Heroes. Is there any way, you know, tell me about your golf. Tell me what you do." And I broke it all down to him and, you know, let him know, "Hey, I golf with great passion, if not great skill. I love it." And he said, "Hey, let me ask you a question. If I helped you with this program, do you think you could, you know, golf a little bit more and talk about the program and introduce people to PXG? Would you be willing to do that?" I said, "Absolutely." And that started in 2018. And the reason I know the day of that phone call is because he called me on my Alive Day.
Oh my gosh.
Nice. Good for him.
Oh, and that got us off to the races.
Did it sound like the commercial?
Phenomenal. I'm sorry.
Did it sound like the commercial when he called you?
Which part?
When he called you, was his voice like the one on the commercial?
Well, this was Kevin. This was.
Okay. Check.
Yeah, this is. Kevin hasn't recorded any social media. I think they got him working so hard that I don't think he's allowed out of the factory. I don't know.
So is the place loaded down with Marines?
Our hero squad?
Yeah.
No, we represent all branches of the service.
Oh, check.
There's a couple Marines on there. We have one female golfer out of Florida. I don't know her branch, but we have on our actual squad, we have Navy, I'm pretty sure Air Force, but Marines and Army for sure are represented. And we're regional. So, I'm in Southern California. If a golf tournament kicks off to support this thing and that, and they want to, hey, do you have anybody that wants to come golf? And I'm able to do it. I can show up, and I'm decked out in my PXG gear, and I have my PXG clubs, and I talk about the new program, the new dimensions, and how I'm hitting them, and I offer it up to everybody, which is kind of like shooting a gun, right? Like, hey, this is my gun. Do you want to shoot it? And everybody kind of gives you the look like, I'm not really sure I can or shouldn't. And I'm like, hey, you can swing anything you want in my bag. Just let me know. And I'm right-handed, so most of the golfers are right-handed. So you get out on the tee box, and next thing you know, they're getting excited about the equipment, how to get the equipment. So it's a great program for me, and it's a great opportunity.
That's your job. I mean, are you kidding me right now? Leave it to a freaking Marine to figure that out. To get
it's
your
kind
ass
of a
out.
job. It's more of a passion.
Oh,
job.
I mean, hey, look, once we got linked up with PXG, we're one of your best salesmen out here. I'll go to, if I see a Marine on the golf course and he didn't have PXGs, I'm like, what the hell is your problem, Marine?
Yeah, for sure.
Because coming from a SEAL, that is a huge deal.
It is.
It's almost like a slap from the outside.
We always carry the chips. And we always carry the read ahead pamphlets. These are the new dimensions. Go here. Go to pxg.com. ID me. Get verified at your credentials, and you will get this discount. And they look at me and they're like, "There's no way it's that easy." I'm like, "It is that easy." And yeah, I talk about it often.
Let me tell you what. We went to the shop, and that was a fantastic experience.
The fitting.
Now there is it's completely different when you go to the store and buy a set of golf clubs, because basically what you're doing when you go to the range or to the golf course is you're trying to pitch your swing to that club. When you go to get to PXG, it's the other way around. I mean, they fit that thing to the way you swing, and it immediately improves your game. Immediately.
And here's how knowledgeable they are, because for me, you can't teach, so I'm a double leg amputee and I'm right-handed. My right leg is my trail leg. So if you see me tee off, there'll be more questions because I have an open stance. My right leg, I'll tell somebody, toes online, I'm completely different. So I have to work with that fitter. He or she has to work with me to figure, okay, this is how you're swinging. This is what your swing path looks like. How far do you hit the ball? You tell them, well, this is how far I'm hitting this ball. And it doesn't compare to anybody else in the golf world, because they look at my size, my height. They're like, oh, you must hit the ball a mile. And I'm like, I do, but in a different way. I'm a club different from everybody. So you work together to get you dialed in, figure out and they're watching you, making sure, okay, that's the natural looking swing. He looks good. And then you come back, get everything made to specs, and they show up, and there you are. And it's great.
It was cool. It was like walking into, say, if you're in the military, walking into an armory full of weapons that you always wanted to walk into. Because they have every club head on the wall, and then there's all the different kinds of shafts and grips. I mean, hundreds of them.
That's so cool.
And then the guy's sitting there watching you, and when I was there, I did it like a 3-piece suit. I was like, I want to hit every one of those.
Right.
I mean, we went through the numbers. Hunter and I both did. And since then, we've had a blast. I'm really enjoying the mess out of them.
And they have a line called Black Ops. I mean, who doesn't want that?
That layout was also so cool too.
It was, man. Even if you don't,
but one of the coolest bit of information that you have to file away is the nomenclature of the clubs.
Right.
So Black Ops is cool, but the driver, it's 0811.
0811. Yep.
What is that? That's artillery. Then you have the 0317. That's your sniper. That's your approach shots. Mr. Parsons did a great job of getting his Marine Corps nomenclature into every piece and facet.
Yeah, dude, it sounds like him and a buddy sat around drinking some beers and had that's how you get that kind of, because that's perfect. Every Marine and the way you paint up the clubs, like if you have the Marine Corps colors on there and all those numbers and everything, guys and the Marines especially, they feed off of that, man. It's their own deal.
Great. So what's your favorite? You've gotten to golf a lot, I'm assuming. What's your favorite course?
Without a doubt, my favorite course in the world is Scottsdale National Country Club,
Okay.
Scottsdale National Golf Course. It's Mr. Parsons and PXG's homestead. I need to wean myself off of golf whenever I leave there. There's rules don't apply. It's Disneyland for adults that like to golf. It's just phenomenal.
Not like Caddyshack.
Yeah, it's and you get out there at the right time of the year. The Marches, the Decembers, desert is beautiful. It's crisp in the morning and
Oh, nice.
great staff, great greens, great experience. It's just phenomenal.
Awesome.
Is there a PXG Invitational, a huge like a pro-am kind of deal that y'all do?
We not that I know of right now. We've done some stuff. So there's the golf showcase we've done where we've pitted golf teams against each other with some celebrities. I was able to participate in that. So we've done that. But we went out there as our whole hero squad. We made a trip out to the motherland there and got to sit around with Mr. Parsons, talk about the program, talk about what we're doing, and just interact with that individual who's phenomenal, a leader in the room and charismatic and empathetic and obviously philanthropic with the way he takes care of us and so many organizations out there.
Is he doing good?
For us, it's just a great experience being out there.
So he's doing good?
He's doing phenomenal.
Okay, good.
He's doing really good.
That's awesome. He sounds like a great guy.
It's a lot of fun because it's so unique to have somebody give back. And what's the thing we always try to say, remember where you came from, or they remember where they came from. He literally he remembers where he came from, where he comes from, and he talks about it. And him and I have only ever bumped heads on one thing, and that one thing was he's a Ravens fan and I'm a Steelers fan, so we bumped heads on that. But I want to tell you one quick Mr. Parsons story. So in 2020, December of 2020, or January of 21 now, but I'm going through a divorce. Then I was out there for this golf showcase. I hadn't seen him in a while, and I wanted to see him. And his time is very precious. So he was filming something for the golf showcase. It was going to be on the Golf Channel. I showed up knowing he was going to be filming and was just hoping to catch 30 seconds with him. So he's off camera. He's getting ready to walk up. He's, has strict about no makeup, not too much makeup and this stuff. And he's walking up and his security kind of goes, "Hey, Davey's here to see you." And so he turns around. I'm 3.5 months into a divorce process. I'm not doing phenomenal. I needed that break at Scottsdale National Golf Course just to get away from it all, decompress. And I'm standing there. He comes up. And he's like, "Davey, my boy, how are you?" Shakes my hand. I'm like, "Hey, I'm good, sir. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come out." And he goes, "Hey, I heard you're getting divorced." And I said, I am, sir. Well, I said, she's getting a divorce. I'm just going along for the ride. He said something like that. And he goes, "Listen," he's still holding my hand. He's got one hand on top of it, very fatherly. And he says, "Listen, I'm going to tell you something and you're not going to want to hear it, but you need to hear it right now." And I said, "Okay." He says, "Davey, there's another woman out there for you. There's another woman out there." And I was getting ready to say yeah, I've heard this. And as I began to agree with him, he goes, "And let me just tell you, she's going to probably break your heart too. So you might as well just get on to get living. No sense in dragging your feet."
Yeah.
It was literally my first out loud laugh that I'd had in a long time. Yeah, that's kind of the way of life right there. Right. So, so
funny.
just a quick funny story about him, but he cares about us. And I'm sure he has some sort of personal or direct relationship with every member on the squad.
Oh, sure.
That's amazing.
That's why you never see them.
Yeah.
When you get to that level, the reason you don't see those guys is because they do have a relationship with everybody and they're always having to move. Mm-hmm. It's nothing personal when they can't stick around. I completely understand that lifestyle. I would imagine he never saw it coming. And then once you get in it, you can't get out.
His loyalty, loyalty runs both ways. His personal security is somebody that worked for him as a corporal and she was a corporal in the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
and that isn't a misnomer. She was a corporal in the Marine Corps and got out and was working at one of the facilities, and he has kept her at his side and promoted her up throughout the time. And the number of Marines that you see, when I went there a couple years ago for an event, there was a Marine that's on a security detail at Scottsdale that was at my command at Recon Battalion. And it's just funny how he sees somebody doing something and plucks them out and says, yeah, let's continue doing this as good as you are.
That's so cool. So how can people, like, if someone's listening and they're hosting a golf tournament or something, can they just bring out the hero squad?
So the best way to get in touch is, the best thing that they can do is reach out to PXG, media is my guess. And depending on where it's at and what they want, it'll be, I couldn't imagine it'd be the whole squad, but I could imagine that somebody that's regionally close could get pulled into play and interact and talk about the program.
Yeah.
That's what I've experienced in the past.
So, hey, real quick, do we have a veterans golf tournament like where you had to have a qualifier to get to it? Like every veteran, if you're a veteran, you were allowed to play in it, and it's a big one. We don't have that, do we?
There is the Veterans Golf Association, but it's not big. There's the one that we play with the injured and the amputees is similar to the Ryder Cup, and I think it's the Simpsons Cup. I don't have my notes in front of me to Google this or look this up. But there's a just like we play the Ryder Cup, where it's UK against the Americans.
Oh, nice. So we do that.
We do it, but we do it with injured. So our injured play to their handicap, and then their injured play to their handicap.
Oh, that's good.
And the last 2 years, it's been a push. I was just with a guy yesterday. The last 2 years has been a push. So the trophy has stayed. I think it's the Simpson Cup, but don't quote me on that. It has stayed on the UK because they won it, and then they won it 3 years ago. The last 2 years have been a push, so the cup has stayed there until we have a definitive winner.
Oh, we got to get
there's
it back.
some phenomenal golfers out there missing one leg. There's a guy I know. I've golfed around him. He's a triple amputee, 2 legs and an arm. His name's Nick Kimmel, and he swings like he's swatting a tennis racket, and hits the ball straight, hits the ball pretty far, and we'll get out there and compete with you.
I think we've seen his videos. Hunter, have you pulled up his videos before?
That was Logan Aldridge.
Oh, Logan Aldridge. Okay. Yeah, we're a family of golfers.
Yeah.
We love to golf. Our 12-year-old daughter's on the golf team at school, so we love it, and we love what you're doing, and that they're supporting you and supporting veterans. PXG just sounds like a really amazing company.
A great company, and as you know, golf is the only, I still try to do adventure sports, but golf is it's the only thing you can do competitively for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Anything else that there's going to come an age bracket, with that handicap system, you can go. I can golf with a positive handicap, a +4 handicap at my -15, and we can compete against each other and still have fun. And the fun thing about being an amputee golfer is I get out there and I get a lot of pity parties and all your injuries and all they feel sad for me or whatever, comments about the legs, and for sure. But after about 2 or 3 holes of maybe I don't have to outdrive them, maybe I don't have to outchip them, but all I have to do is just put together one hole that puts the pressure on them a little bit more, that all of a sudden my injuries are completely forgot about, because I'm just a guy out there trying to take their lunch.
Bro, that was, y'all could get away with that the first 6-7 years we were doing this, man. But now that we're down the road, when they show up with those prosthetics, I'm like, get your ass to the other side of the course, dude. I don't want to run against you. I definitely don't want to swim against you or play a sport. I mean, it's got to turn into superheroes with this stuff, man. And the guys, you said something earlier when in the beginning, our guys that seem handicapped, if I heard one guy say, hey, man, when the more limbs you lose, that's you going back to being a civilian. So if you see a guy who's got all 4 limbs, he went back to being a civilian. Yeah. Because you guys can freaking move now with those things.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't remember what year it was, but it's kind of like warp speed, and I think 08 or 09, maybe 10, where the prosthetics started. I mean, they were coming online. All the computer chips and everything. So, thank you for staying in there and doing all that, man.
We know that after every major war, going all the way back to the pirates and the Barbary Coast and all that, after every major conflict, the amputation and the prosthetics have taken a significant jump.
Yeah.
And you can draw that line directly related to how active the war is. So where we are right now is pretty amazing. And I live a very, I'm challenged at different times, but compared to where I could have been 50, 60 years ago, I live a very comfortable and active lifestyle, because my prosthetics are what they are.
For sure.
Well, God bless you, man, for doing that and staying in the arena, because you got to think, in the beginning, you wonder why you get hit. We get to now, it's like, man, you got hit so you could show people what it was like to get hit and stay up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to question the past sometimes, but like I said at the beginning, this is the path I'm going to walk. So
I love it.
Keep doing it, brother, man. Doing a great job. God bless you.
Yeah.
Happy holidays. Happy birthday, Marine.
It's great
Thank
talking to you.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.